All right, let's get to our NFL predictions. That's something we've been talking about a lot here on this show this week. Big conference games this weekend. We'll start with the early game, the 49ers and the Eagles, as they visit Philadelphia. Kyle, let's hear your prediction first, and let's hear you talk about it.
That's a game that I really think's a toss-up. But I wouldn't bet the 49ers just because Brock Purdy, he's undefeated, but eventually I just think that the story is going to end.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles' defense is really, really good. I mean, we saw them completely shut down the Giants. The Giants rolled past the Vikings, and their offense was kind of heating up at the end, and they just made them look like their offense wasn't good.
You know how it says good defense? The 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, their defense definitely could get them a win, but
I think they're two best defenses in the NFL.
I think the Eagles just do a little more to get the win, so I'm taking the Eagles.
With the points, minus 2.5?
2.5, right? Yeah.
I mean, this is a betting preview here, right?
Yep.
Yep.
So
Yep.
What do you? So you're
I'll take the
field goal?
Eagles.
money line?
I'll take the Eagles by 3.
Yeah, I mean, I've had really tough time with all these games this week and 2 games. I was really confident in the divisional round, and I nailed all 4 of them. Got lucky with Jacksonville getting a late field goal to cover. San Francisco game against Dallas was a little closer than I thought, but at the end of the day, so having such much success last week, it makes me a little nervous this week, because nobody wins them all, right? So if I'm running a 4-game streak, and another thing for me going into this weekend is I have a futures bet on the Bengals. I bet $40 before the playoffs started on the Bengals plus 850, so that pays 380. So, wanting that to come in or questioning if I should hedge it by going with KC, it's really got me flustered this week. So I'm not coming into this betting preview segment with as much confidence as I was last week. But we're starting with Philadelphia and San Francisco. All I hear is that, Purdy's a rookie, this is a big stage. This is where the road ends. And that might be true, but guess who? Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy both are 1-0 in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Jalen Hurts doesn't have any more playoff experience, and he certainly hasn't been in.
Well, Brock Purdy has more. He's played.
Yeah, he's
played
actually
2 games.
played one more game,
Yep.
and neither of them have obviously played an AFC Championship game. But that being said, obviously Jalen Hurts is better than Brock Purdy on almost every level, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you look last week, Brock Purdy really didn't do a whole lot. Their defense won them the game. It was clearly obvious. He had just over 140 passing yards, no passing touchdowns. I mean, he was kind of just out there. I mean, they didn't really. He didn't
Kyle
really do too
Shanahan, though,
much.
kind of by design against that Dallas defense, I think didn't want to put Purdy in a position where he could make mistakes.
And when you got McCaffrey, you don't really need to throw a whole lot.
So that's also holds true. You got two of the best defenses in the 49ers and the Eagles, but another great defense was Dallas. So I don't know if this Philadelphia defense is that much better than the Dallas defense. But San Francisco did struggle a bit to get that win against Dallas, and if Dak Prescott wasn't so terrible, Dallas might have won. So that gave me a little pause because several months ago, well, let's say around mid-November, I said to myself, it's going to be Bengals 49ers. Those are the best 2 teams in each conference. By the eye test, sometimes you got to see the forest through the trees, right? And I haven't questioned that until this week, and now I'm questioning it on both sides. I'm a little more confident still in the Bengals, but I do think that this might be the end of the road for San Francisco. I think that they could ram it down their throats with McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell. Both of them are not 100% healthy, which is a concern because they're going to need to run the ball to win the game for sure. So one other interesting side note, Purdy and Hurts face each other. Purdy at Iowa State and Hurts at Oklahoma in 2019. It was one of the bowl games. I can't remember the bowl game, but Oklahoma won 42-41. They were 14-point favorites. Not that matters this week, but it's kind of interesting. And Kyle Shanahan in the last 20 years is 7-1 against the spread in the playoffs. just another
Making
thing.
a big case for San Francisco over there.
Well, I want to bet San Francisco, but when it comes right down to it, here's my play. I got Philadelphia on the money line and under 51.5. So the over-under is 46.5, but I'm teasing it up to 51.5. I think it's going under. I just want a little cushion. And so Philadelphia wins under 51.5. Parlayed is plus 160. So basically, double or 1.5 times your money. And I also might just go straight up on the under. But there's some player props. I think that in trying to figure out who's going to win this game, I did find some value in some player props. I like Hurts over 1/2 interception. That's basically even money. I think the defense is too good. I think, while Purdy might be protected by Kyle Shanahan, I don't think that Hurts is going to be out there winging it. And
I think he's going to run a lot, to be honest.
Yep, and that's my second player prop. I got him over 40.5 rushing yards. He averages 53.4 rushing yards this season. I also got a player prop, longest rush over 13.5. And I think that with the pressure from like Armstead and Bosa, that he's going to get flushed out of that pocket and he's going to take off. And he is the best running quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. He brought me to my fantasy football championship game this year.
Justin Fields
before he
might be
got
up
hurt.
there. Justin Fields from Chicago is pretty good at
Yeah,
running the
you're
ball.
probably right. But Fields obviously doesn't throw as well as Hurts, so maybe he gets overlooked. But he can obviously run just as good as Hurts, or maybe better. But so I do agree with you there. I like Hurts on the ground. I like Kenneth Gainwell over 23.5 all-purpose yards is a player prop. I like A.J. Brown, longest reception, 26.5 yards at minus 110. And I got Christian McCaffrey over 57.5 rushing yards, minus 115. So, again, not confident in that Philly's going to win, but I think they are. I think it's going to be low scoring. And so I also got some of these player props. So what about you, Paul? Who you like?
I guess I'll take a quote from, Stanford Stephen the Bear. The underdog is howling for me. I'm rolling 49ers. I picked them at the beginning of the year, so as I've alluded to all week, you gotta stick with, if your pick is still alive, in my opinion, you gotta roll with them still. So, I'm rolling 49ers. I do agree. I think maybe offensively you do have to give the edge to the Eagles, but to me defensively, there was just something about that San Francisco defense all year, and really since the jump that to me has been really spectacular. Obviously, it's no disrespect to Philly's defense. They're probably, really to be fair,
Statistically, they're
Second
better.
best,
They're
but-
the number one defense in yards per game compared to San Francisco. I think is fourth in the league in yards per game. Depending on what metric you want to choose to measure defenses. There's also some other facts here. San Francisco on the year has 20 interceptions, 10 fumbles. That's 30 takeaways. Philadelphia 17 interception, 10 fumbles. That's 3 less than San Francisco. They both given the ball away on offense 19 times. It's really an even matchup. San Francisco's on a 12-game winning streak. They last lost against Kansas City back on October 23rd. And, of course, Jimmy Garoppolo and Jeff Wilson was the quarterback-running back combo that back there. So a lot's changed, right?
Whole different team.
Since getting McCaffrey in Week 8, they're 12-0 and 10-2 against the spread. So I don't know. One of the final determining factors for me was the fact that San Francisco's coming all the way to the East Coast. That I'm sure they got there in plenty of times, so jet lag's not a factor. But they struggled to put away Dak Prescott in Dallas at home, and it's going to be a different story this week. That's why I got the Eagles.
And they're due for a loss. Like you said, they haven't lost since October, 23rd?
Just like the Waterloo girls.
Yeah.
Defense fails first in big games, or defense doesn't show up first in big games. I'd take the over. I'm going to take the over on 46.5. And I said it yesterday in Fresh Takes. 49ers are going to win. It's going to be by more than one touchdown.
More than
It's
one
not gonna be that
touchdown,
close.
holy.
Oh, man. He should take some winning margin props then on
It's not.
the
I
old
mean,
green book.
And it absolutely drives me crazy when there's. I mean, these are basically like non-margins in these games. We're going to talk about the Bengals Chiefs in a second. I mean, it's what we're seeing now is absolutely silly. Money line has disappeared. Everybody's waiting to find out what's going to happen to
Right.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
He's on one leg. Newsflash, people. He's on one singular leg. He's going to be a pocket quarterback. So we finally get to see, is he good? Is he a good pocket quarterback? Yes or no? No. It's not compared to this Bengals team. Joe Burrow, ride that all the way.
Well, wait a second.
Silly.
Back to Philadelphia first here. You think they're going to win by more than one score in Philadelphia?
Yeah, I think the final is going to be something like, what did I say yesterday, Paul? 37-28 or 37-24,
Yeah,
something
me and you
along
were in the
those lines.
same area
38.
with that.
I don't think it's going to be that close.
See,
37.
I
wow.
like the under just because, like I say, Kyle Shanahan's not going to unleash Brock Purdy, so they're going to be a running attack. They're going to chew up some clock. And on the other side of the ball, I think that San Francisco on defense is going to be bend but not break. Try not to get burnt long by A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. And Philadelphia has a good running game, too. But I think the overall difference in terms of wins and losses is going to be Jalen Hurts' ability to create on his own. But that's why they play the games. Nate.
I got the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to do a great job in kind of heating up Brock Purdy, making him feel uncomfortable. They got a great front seven. Try to make Brock Purdy make mistakes, and I think they'll be able to do that on Sunday. Nick Sirianni's been a great coach all year for the Eagles. So I think they do kind of finally make Brock Purdy win the game, and we haven't had to do that. He hasn't had to do that at all.
Right.
So I think that was going to be the falter, kind of getting a guy that's Mr. Irrelevant in that huge spot, having to lead a team, and I think the Eagles are going to prevail.
3 Eagles, 2 Niners.
Not
So we're
much.
kinda
Not much
split.
faith in a guy who hasn't had a flaw yet.
Well, I'm
Not
just
a lot,
no,
and
yeah.
that seems to be the consensus. Is like not a lot of faith in a guy who's literally just not made any major mistakes.
For me,
I've
it's
had
not the faith.
with him.
Like-
I've had faith with him until this week. I just think it's this at some point. Brock Purdy's not gonna go 500-0 in his NFL career. He's gonna
Right.
lose a game sooner or later, and this seems like the spot. And nothing against Purdy, but like I say, he is in a system where he is able to get the job done in a lot of ways, like Phil Simms used to for the Giants back in the day. For
Right.
all you senior citizens out there,
They got to make. I think the Eagles' path to victory. They have to make Brock Purdy try to win the game, and that could go one of two ways, right? I mean, Brock Purdy could do it and win another one, but I think if they make him try to be the focal point.
If defense isn't as big a factor, does it change how you feel about the outcome of the game at all, Jim?
I just don't see how defense can't be a factor because, like I say, they're two of the best defenses in the NFL. And
Remember a lot of people saying that when the Bills played the Chiefs last in the playoffs, and I seem to remember that just turning into an
Oh, yeah,
absolute
that was a-
score fest.
well, the Chiefs
No
never have
defense.
had the best defense in the NFL. So I don't.
Yeah, this is definitely the best defense Brock Purdy has faced, and
In Dallas, but again, when I started thinking that leaning towards San Francisco because I think Dallas's defense is on par with Philadelphia's defense, and
It's
it
up
worked.
there.
But if Dak Prescott wasn't so terrible, San Francisco might have lost last week.
yeah.
But I don't know. It's like I said, these have been tough.
All right, so we got one more game on Sunday, the AFC Championship. The Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. 6:40 Eastern time start. I'm going to go right with my pick right away. I got the Chiefs. I really think Mahomes finally gets his revenge on Joe Burrow. He's never beaten Burrow. Burrow's 3-0 against him. They've all been field goal games. So I expect this one to be close. Like you mentioned, it's going to be tough for Patrick to be that mobile quarterback that he is, being able to move the pocket and kind of create throws. But I think he'll be healthy enough to do that, to where he needs to go. And when in doubt, he's just going to throw it to Travis Kelce, in my opinion. I haven't had a chance to look at player props for him yet. But he had, 15 catches last week?
Their lives are not good.
Probably over 8.5 is probably his line, if I had to guess. And he's able to kind of find soft spots in the zone, just get open and run and be athletic. So I think Kelce will have a big game again, and the Chiefs will beat the Bengals.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, again, like anything's possible here. And as far as Mahomes, who knows? Like he appears that was a pretty serious injury.
He
but,
practiced yesterday.
Yeah, and they're gonna tape him up. They're gonna shoot
Right.
him up. And so
They said in the media part of practice that he didn't look like it hampered him too much, so take that for as you will. The whole practice isn't obscured to the media, only part of it.
Right.
And the media said he looked okay, but
So
like I said,
How
take
much?
that with a
How
grain
much
salt.
of that scrambling that he does during a game, that improvising, how much of that do you think he's doing in practice, especially after having
Right.
suffering that
That's
injury
true.
that he did last Sunday?
Not a lot.
You're seeing basically him just going through the motions.
It's
right?
hard to make that stuff up too, right? It's hard to draw up
Right.
what he does in the pocket. He's unbelievable. He's not necessarily a scrambler, but what he can do in the pocket is
no,
unreal.
he's amazing. He's amazing.
Especially when he can control his arm angle and make throws that not a lot of quarterbacks can make.
So Josh, we already know your pick. Go ahead. So go ahead and
Yeah, I just think I think the Bengals are basically in line with destiny here. Their offense just looks more explosive, looks better. Obviously, the injury is a factor. I'd take a fully healthy Joe Burrow, especially after watching what they did last week. I also like the over because I think no matter what, Kansas City's going to score a bunch, Cincinnati's going to score a bunch, and 48 seems like a pretty easy number to hit.
Oh man, guy loves points this weekend. I love it.
I just don't understand the draw to these, to thinking that we're going to see like a 19-17 final or any of the other crazy numbers that
I'm sure if there was an over 100, you'd take it for the weekend.
They did play on December 4th, and it was a 27-24 win for Cincinnati. Mahomes only had 223 passing yards that day, and he was at 100% health-wise. So that's 51. That goes over the 48.
I would say this Bengals team has also improved greatly from that time.
Yes.
This is a different Bengals offense in particular.
But they don't have the bulletin board material they had last week. I think that's going to be a big factor.
I was like,
man.
That's a big factor in my
I
opinion.
decided I'm going with Cincinnati, and then they start talking all this smack. I don't like it.
They were able to put it up on the bulletin board last week that they were selling tickets to the AFC Championship game in Atlanta, and that they were 5.5-point favorites in Vegas. And then Zach Taylor did a great job, and the rest of the coaching staff beating that into his guys' heads that they don't believe in us.
Now they're
and now they're
cocky,
favorites, or a little bit. Now
I think they're being cocky.
Joe
I
Burrow's
think,
been always been a
Burrowhead
talker though.
Stadium, I've heard it called from the Cincinnati.
Well, I've heard that too.
Actually, yesterday the media did ask one of the Chiefs linebackers what he thought about the Bengals offense.
Willie Gay, right?
Yep, and he said nothing. Like they're not special. He doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you
everyone's
kind of
talking.
got that too.
Yeah.
yeah. So what's your pick then? You're going with
Kansas City.
Kansas City
Yep.
with the right now
-1,
it's moved
right?
back to Kansas City's 1.5-point favorites now.
That was 1.5. Yeah.
yeah.
I'll
It was
take
as
that.
of last night.
Yeah, field goal game.
Okay. And Josh likes the over, and you also like Kansas City.
Bengals to win.
Oh, Bengals to
Bengals
win,
to
but
win.
over. Okay.
Yeah, over.
All right. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna even with Patrick Mahomes banged up. I do think it's gonna be a high-scoring game, so I'll take the over. But I think the Bengals get it done, and I say they win by probably 6 points.
Okay. It's scary when everybody's in agreement on something like the over. That's usually when it goes under.
It's usually when you fade, right?
But Paul, I'll go last here. How about you with this game?
Yeah, Cincinnati all day for one. Look, Mahomes' injury is what Tony Pollard has, minus the fact that Pollard has a broken fibula. It's pretty much the same. Like Josh said, if he's out there on one leg. I don't care what you shoot him up with. If he just steps wrong one time, he's toast. And that's a different team with Chad Henne out there. And with that in mind, I am probably going to be the lone wolf on this one. I'm taking the under on this game.
Oh.
I think so.
Are you crazy?
You think?
I'm
Still haven't decided. I might wait till the game
I'm not-
starts to bet
I'm
this
not
one.
so
Do a
much
little live betting
undecided.
after you get a look at things for like
Yeah.
5 minutes.
I'm not so much undecided. I'm taking the under. It's just one of those like, if it shifts for whatever reason, then it gets interesting territory. But yeah, I could see this game easily being something like I forget what I exactly said yesterday, but like a 21-14 or something like that deal. So
Life's too short, Paul, to bet the under.
yeah, that was my philosophy for a while until I understood what it's like to win money as opposed to lose money all the time. So teach their own.
Well, in regard to the over, conference championship games, even going 0-2 last year, the over that is, so both conference championship games went under last year. The overs hit 9 of the last 13 conference championship games. And that includes last year going 0-2.
Wow, was that quite the run?
Including all 3 of the Chiefs' appearances from January 2019 through 2021. So there's just a little stat for you. Kansas City's defense has allowed 144 rushing yards this year, averaging 7.6 yards per carry. That was last week versus the Jags. They gave 144 to the Jags, 7.6 yards a carry. Takeaway, giveaway, Cincinnati's defense, 24 interceptions, 18 fumble recoveries. They're +6. Or actually, no, that's takeaways to giveaways. So they're +6, Kansas City -3. Kansas City's giving it away 3 times more. So these are all things that are kind of leaning over and towards Cincinnati. And last week when we talked about the Bills game, we broke it down position by position. I think the same thing holds true here. You might take Mahomes over Burrow. You can make an argument for that, but if Mahomes isn't 100%, but then look at the other positions, other than tight end, where you got Travis Kelce, I give Cincinnati the edge at running back 1 with Mixon over Pecchio or McKinnon.
Pacheco's been great second half of the year.
He has been great, but if you were starting your team to play, would you take Mixon or?
I would probably take Pacheco because he's younger.
Oh, well, how about one game played Sunday?
Yeah, I'd probably take Joe Mixon then.
Wide receiver 1, Chase versus Juju Smith. I mean, I don't even think that's close, right?
Yeah, Jamar, easily.
Wide receiver 2, T. Higgins versus who? McCole Hartman? Like, who even is number 2 for?
I think it's Mecole, yeah.
No, it's Valdez-Scantling.
Yeah, Valdez.
MVS.
Either way, we like T. Higgins, right?
But look, we didn't even think of him because he's just not
Right.
a number 2.
But that's been, the way that Kansas City's rolled over the years.
They got
although
Kadarius Toney, too, though. I like him.
Yeah, you got to like him, too, but there's not the firepower that Joe Burrow has. And, they beat him last year. Last year, Kansas City couldn't get it done, and they had Tyreek Hill. So I don't know, this all leads, plus the only thing is, like I said, I got that little futures bet on Cincinnati, so it would be a good opportunity to hedge it, but I can't do it since I got to stick with Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's the best team in the AFC, so my bet is Cincinnati money line, and I'm teasing the over down to 43.5, which is at 190. Parlay them together, it's +200. I like first half over 19.5. That's also teased down from, I think, 23.5, so that's -200. Second half over flat 23.5. I like those bets. And then I got some player props too, if you want to hear them, and let me know if you agree or disagree with them. I got a lot of touchdown player props. I don't expect them all to come in, but if half of them come in, then it's Fat City. Not really, but it would be profitable if 2 of them came in. So it's funny too. If you do DraftKings like a single game parlay, the odds actually increase as opposed to what it is for some players just straight up on a touchdown prop.
They may change a little bit sometimes, yeah.
Right. So with that in mind, well, here's the best example of it. Patrick Mahomes, any TD score straight up is +550. In a single game parlay, it's +900. I mean, that's significant.
Wow.
So I took Mahomes, any TD, and I parlayed it with the over 43.5, which is also teased, just to get those better odds. And then I also took Mahomes 2 touchdowns plus 7,500, $10 to win 750. Do I think Mahomes is going to score 2 touchdowns? Probably not, but I think there's at those odds you almost got to give it a shot because you could get a quarterback sneak and then a scramble. We already think it's going to be a high scoring game, so there's going to be a lot of action down there by the red zone. Why not?
If he's running on one leg, then
Right.
I question everything that we've seen in the last week.
I just don't see him. I don't see him coming out limping around. I see him being taped up. He might have lost a little bit of a step, but I still think we're gonna see the same Patrick Mahomes that we're used to seeing. Although,
Assuming he doesn't take any hits. If he takes a hit or two that could derail that. If he
that
does
could
come
be
out
the
looking
test.
clean.
And that'd
Yeah.
be Chad Henne time.
Anything is possible.
Who looked great. More player props real quick. I did the same thing with Jamar Chase. Parlayed, teased over down to 43.5 with a Jamar Chase anytime touchdown. That's +60. Then straight up, T. Higgins anytime touchdown +190. Jerick McKinnon anytime touchdown +140. And the reason I go with all these touchdowns is because we thought the game was going over, right? So if we think it's going over, we think there's going to be scoring, might as well do some more touchdown props. And in that vein, I also have both kickers over 1.5 field goals, plus 100 for McPherson, minus 105 for Butker. The only time that McPherson hasn't had over 1.5 field goals in a game, 7 games this year. So that's more than a coin cost that'll come in. Butker is only 5 times, so that's like 5 games all year he's had less than 2 field goals. So I like those bets there. And so in that vein, I also took both kickers over 7.5 points, and that's plus 110 each. So I've taken all these scoring props because we think it's going to go over. So, you can fall flat on your fist, game goes under. It could fall flat on your face. And then finally, Sam Hubbard, they're offering over 0.75 sacks, which is a weird number, but obviously you get a half a sack or a full sack.
Right.
So that's plus 245. Now, he hasn't had any sacks in his last 4 games, so I think he might be due. 6.5 sacks on the season. Of course, he had that huge touchdown return last year,
He's
which,
a
by the
prime-time
way,
player.
the only Cincinnati defensive touchdown of the year. And then Jesse Bates, over 5.5 tackles and assists at minus 110. He had 8 tackles and assists when they played on December 4th against the Chiefs, so why not? So that's where I'm going with it, and I'm not fully confident on any of it this week.
And here's another little stat. I don't know if everyone realizes, but Joe Burrow's never lost to Patrick Mahomes. He's 3-0 in his career.
Yep.
I think so. Like I said, I think that'll continue, but that's something to kind of monitor. Not many quarterbacks or not many teams are able to beat Patrick Mahomes in that offense.
Those are all field goal games, too, so they're all close, too.
Yep.
And it's in Kansas City, and it's going to be cold and a little windy, which that also worries me a little bit about the over. They're talking not like gusty, but 10, 15 mile per hour winds, 20 degrees at kickoff. Yeah.
Midwest cold.
Should worry people about that ankle.
Yeah, that's another that
Should worry
would be-
people about that ankle.
But it's nothing's easy. Nothing's easy. So let's see. Hope the games are good. Hope they're enjoyable. Hope fun to watch. I'm going to plan on sitting in front of the TV for both of them on Sunday. Just made some nachos,
Ooh,
some popcorn.
love that.
Hey, one more thing before we just get off sports, and I assume we're going to take it to a commercial. The beginning of this year, the 2 top teams to win it all in the preseason, if you're going to do a Super Bowl future bet, were the Bills were number 1 at plus 600, the favorite in the whole NFL, all 30 teams, Bills number 1, Tampa Bay number 2.
Yep.
So it's the first time since 2015 that neither of the top 2 teams made a conference championship game. So that's something that's a little odd. And also, both conference championship games haven't closed under a 3-point spread since 1998, and only 3 times total in the Super Bowl era. So it's usually at this stage, at least one of the conference games has like a heavy favorite. So that also, all 4 of these teams could win the Super Bowl. It's like really up for grabs this year. It should be really fun Sunday of football.
Yeah, that's what makes it the best. I mean, so many years we just kind of knew Tom Brady was going to be there, and they were probably going to win another Super Bowl. But now it's a toss-up, and that's what makes this league fun again. It's not the same team over and over.
And you guys might be too young to remember the era of NFC dominance in the Super Bowl, where every year the NFC would just win the Super Bowl by 40 points. I mean, it was unbelievable how much better the NFC was than the AFC for close to, probably a good 10 to 15 year stretch in the 80s and 90s, with, whether it's the Giants or the Bears. They just always won. You could set your clock to it, but those days are gone, obviously. And so with that being said, just real quick, Super Bowl champ, out of these 4 teams, who you got to win it all in 3 weeks?
The Eagles.
Easy. Cincinnati.
Cincinnati for me too.
Paul?
49ers.
Especially after Cincinnati lost last year, I think they get right back and they get it done this year.
Hungry.
Yeah, I don't know, but if you had to pick one, it would be Cincinnati.
Love it.
So
Almost full agreement here. Like it. Hey, that is actually going to do it for this edition of Finger Lakes today. Thanks for joining us. We will be back on Monday at 9 a.m. Until then, remember to check out fingerlakes1.com or the fingerlakes1.com app for the latest news, weather, sports, and more. For the whole team here, have a great weekend.